The chapter of Ravenholm has been considered amongst many fans to be one of the scariest parts of the Half-Life series, and has remained that way to this day. The concept of Ravenholm dates back to the Half-Life 2 beta back in 2001. Before becoming the Ravenholm we all love and know, and are terrified of to be precise, and went by many stages. One of the most notable ones was Quarry Town, which took place within the dried out wastelands. Despite its many differences with the current Ravenholm, it stayed largely the same in terms of its route and architecture. Ravenholm was also shown by Valve within 2003's E3, which at the time was named Trap Town. One of the many notable differences was the addition of Combine soldiers in the demonstration. It was also shown again in the presentation, but this time it would display some of the Source Engine's graphical features. While Valve was still on board with the episodic releases of Half-Life 2, the original plan was to end Gordon's journey in Episode 3, which was originally set to release in December of 2007.
We're working on right now, after we get the orange box out the door, it's going to be Episode 3. We are at the midpoint in our trilogy of episodes, which will conclude in Episode 3.
However, we all know how this ended, and even now with Half-Life Alyx's release, we're still waiting for a direct sequel. But besides that, Valve had also been planning for an Episode 4 of the Half-Life series to release. One that wasn't of Gordon's journey, but of Adrian Shephard's. This is Return to Ravenholm. Return to Ravenholm was an unreleased Half-Life game and was in development from 2005 to 2008. Originally, the project started with Warren Spector's Junction Point Studios. In the game, the central game mechanic would have been a magnet gun, similar to the gravity gun, but was built on the concept of magnetizing nearby objects to solve puzzles. In this project, it was going to depict the events that occurred in Ravenholm prior to its appearance in Half-Life 2. However, after around a year, Junction Point was bought by Disney, and the game was cancelled, so that work could begin on the epic Mickey franchise. Sometime later, the project was taken up by Arkane Studios, which was a French video game studio, and so they had to start from scratch. In the game's story, you would have taken the role of Adrian Shephard, the very same protagonist from Gearbox's Opposing Force. Essentially, the story within the game took place sometime after Half-Life 2, but before Episode 2. It would have started off with Shephard waking up in Ravenholm and meeting up with Father Grigori in an old children's hospital. Grigori would have then provided with food and led him on a journey to escape Ravenholm through a swarm of zombies. However, what made the zombies so different was that instead of the head crab attaching to the host bodies, it would bite the victims, initiating a process seen much more prevalent in pop culture. Not only that, but these zombies would have been much stronger and faster than the standard slow and rotting zombie. Instead, it would have been much more similar to fast-moving zombies seen in 28 Days Later, and share a striking resemblance to the infected from Left 4 Dead. Which is crazy since this project predated that game by several years. However, during the game, it would be revealed that Grigori himself is infected and trying to starve off the infection as he helps Shephard along. Sadly, at the end of the game, he would have mutated and Shephard would have had to presumably fight him. One of the most notable gameplay features in the game was the magnet gun, which was recycled by Spector's project. There also would be other unique weapons, including a nail gun, which could be used to conduct electricity. The alpha build of the game also included a melee punch mechanic that could be used when Shephard was out of ammunition. While developing the game, Arkane Studios considered the game as a spin-off, instead of an episodic release in the Half-Life series. Despite this, Valve considered it a part of the episodic releases of Half-Life 2. But, while the game was in development, Valve would slowly try to move away from these kinds of releases of games. Due to how large Episode 2 was, Valve decided that they were better off in making full-fledged games, rather than making episodic games. Sadly, sometime after, Valve pulled the plug on the project, as it was midway through development. In the end, Arkane was only able to complete 8 to 9 chapters, which were ready to be played. While Arkane tried creating an alpha build of the game to convince Valve, it would later turn out to be futile, as Valve had already decided it was final for the project to end. After a decade of the cancellation of Episode 4, Arkane Studio thankfully keeps the alpha build of the game in their system, and sometimes shows it off to newer employees, giving them a glimpse of the Half-Life game that never was. The game that we don't go to anymore. And that is a wrap for today's video. I myself am very bummed that we never got to experience this game. Would have you liked it if this game came out? Because I certainly would have. But remember, there is no rest in Ravenholm. Anyways, I am Mauricio Jara, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!